a change. No man find woman acting strange. We no longer depend on man to earn a living. We going outside and earning we own shilling. Cause we woman have changed we course without remorse. Woman is boss. When it comes to substance and vantage performance, woman is boss. Who's the boss? The boss. Who's the boss? The woman's role we know as a miracle maker, wife, mother, teacher, etc. With the ability to combine all of these roles, well, you must agree it's a woman's world. Cause we woman have changed we course without remorse. Woman is boss. When it comes to quality, production and dignity, woman is boss. The sky's the limit where we are concerned. Woman this wrong, we come out to burn. Love and respect is all that we earn. You'll be amazed what we could give in return. Now we woman have changed we course without remorse. Woman is boss. Talk about enduring, don't forget childbearing. Woman is boss. The boss. Who's the boss? The boss. Trinidadian woman is boss. Woman is boss. West Indian woman is boss.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and all our online listeners. Welcome to another edition of A Woman's Worth right here on Street 91.9 FM. I am yours truly, Wendy H. Lewis, and we give thanks to the Big G for all his blessings, for waking us up this morning so that we can see yet another bright day. Every day on the face of this earth is an opportunity to create change, inspire others, follow through on our vision, and make the best of this thing called life. We are continuing in the same vein. Remember, we are in International Women's Month mode. And International Women's Month is celebrated annually in the month of March, and it commemorates the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women with roots in the labor movements as far back as the early 20th century and the fight for unified and universal females. International Women's Day is observed on the 8th of March, and it has its roots in the labor movements of Europe and North America in the 20th century. We here in Trinidad and Tobago have been celebrating International Women's Day and by extension International Women's Month in collaboration with the United Nations and the rest of the world. So happy International Women's Month to all the women under the sound of my voice, and to the men that ensure that we continue to create change and impact lives by the shifts in their mindset and their support. We say thank you to you. I would also like to again congratulate Mrs. Camille Robinson Regis on her recent appointment as the 4th Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago. Deceased Glenda Marine Phillips being the first. We would have had Honorable Kamla Prasad Bissessa, Mrs. Bridget Anisette George, and Mrs. Camille Robinson Regis being the fourth. So we congratulate Mrs. Robinson Regis for achieving another star on her resume in the month of International Women's Celebration. And of course, I promised you faithfully that every single day, with the exception of weekends, we will have a special guest where we are commemorating International Women's Month. Women of purpose, women of vigor, women who have broken glass ceilings, women who have decided, I have no interest in fighting for a seat at the table. I'm going to bring my own chair. I will create my own table. And we have fiery women coming in every single day this week and next week, and then we climax. The last Monday is the 31st, so we're going to have an amazing time as we speak to different women on the program today. And yes, we do have a special guest in studio, already getting ready to take the mic, and we will take a break. And we'll be right back, and then I will introduce my special guest to you. Then we will open the lines, we'll have a little conversation, and then we wrap it up. Remember, Tuesdays are 1 hour, 11 to 12. Tomorrow we resume at 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Same thing for Thursday and Friday, with special guests right here on A Woman's World, the Street 91.9 FM. Just so that you can take note, the numbers to call when we open the lines will be 342-0081 and 466-5391. Again, those numbers to calling are 342-0081 and 466-5391. Remember to share the live. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook. You can also find the live on A Woman's World 369 on Facebook. We'll be right back.
Went outside and roam. Since the beginning of time, we standing in line, taking we grind, following behind. Now we woman have changed because without remorse, woman is boss. When it comes to caring, sharing and achieving, woman is boss. Change. No man fine, woman acting strange. We no longer depend on man to earn a living. We going outside and earning we own shilling. Cause we woman have changed we cause. Without remorse, woman is boss. When it comes to substance and vantage performance, woman is boss. Etc. With the ability to combine all of these roles, well, you must agree it's a woman's world. Cause we woman have changed we cause. Without remorse, woman is boss. When it comes to quality, production and dignity, woman is boss. Concern. Woman, this wrong, we come out to burn. Love and respect is all that we earn. You'll be amazed what we could give in return. Now we woman have changed because without
You are listening to the Street 919
Trinidad
FM.
and Tobago, we
Stay
are
with us
coming
for news,
on in a
interviews,
couple of
and
seconds with our
commentary that
guest,
shape
Tracy
our
Farrar.
democracy. Street 919 FM, the official station that defends the nation.
Trinidad and Tobago, I am a woman to my word. I have kept my promise and I continue to do so. In studio with me, I have the phenomenal, amazing, down-to-earth Tracy Farrar. She's a business development manager for regional publication. She has extensive experience in marketing and sales and was a founding member of the publishing team that created the Caribbean's first ever architectural resource book. She has also worked as a producer and writer in film and video production for more than a decade, holds a Bachelor of Education with a specialization in guidance and counseling. Her passion for children and her experience in the classroom led this one-time flight attendant to co-produce the first feature-length, award-winning children's film in Trinidad and Tobago, Sally's Way. Much of her work in video production has been centered in the corporate, cultural, and sporting arena, writing and producing short documentaries and profiles. She holds a certificate in project management and has worked on international projects with CBS for The Amazing Race in Trinidad and as a project coordinator with Coachella. More recently, Tracy has also devoted time to narrative fiction and has been shortlisted in the Brooklyn Caribbean Literary Festival short story competition, receiving notable mention. And allow me to add, she's also the chief plotter. So she's the head of Plot, Powerful Ladies of Trinidad and Tobago. Tracy, welcome to Street 91.9 FM, A Woman's Worth.
Thank you very much, Wendy. What a lovely introduction, and I love that you're so enthusiastic about women.
I am,
It's a rare thing
Yeah.
to feel the enthusiasm from another woman uplifting somebody and whatever they've accomplished in whatever small ways, wherever they have. Thank you.
I appreciate that and I appreciate you. Tracy, tell me a bit about your personal and professional journey and what inspired you to pursue your career along the journey.
Gosh, that would assume that I had a plan. And there was no plan. And I think that for me, that's a big part of what I recognize and have come to realize is my next step for how I want to impact women.
Yeah.
I didn't have a plan because I was a product of a generation where women were still to be kept quiet,
Yes.
to know your place and to grow up to be a mom and a wife.
Yes.
Your any other function in life was secondary to those key things. And I followed through. And in between those things, whatever I managed to do, I tried to do my best. But I was also the child of divorced parents who worked inordinately hard to hold a marriage together that didn't deserve being held together.
Okay.
And so a lot of the things that I accomplished, I actually accomplished outside of my marriage. But I have to say that my biggest accomplishment is my one single child, who
Male or female?
a boy,
Oh, yes.
or should I say a man,
A man now.
who I think is an extremely wonderful human being. Apart from any accomplishments he has made, I think that I have managed to raise a good human being.
Gem of a human being.
Yes.
And that's applaudable. What does woman empowerment mean to you?
Well, you know, there are so many levels to it. And there's the external level, where we see people breaking the glass ceilings, where we see women becoming empowered in areas that were previously male-dominated. But I think when you come to the end of it, and as I speak with more women, particularly those women who have had a full career, when you come down to the end, what your experience essentially distills to is that the biggest transformation and empowerment has to happen internally.
Correct. Absolutely. Mindset.
Yes.
That mindset definitely has to shift. You've been in leadership and you've created impact. What leadership qualities do you think women, and I don't like the term bring to the table, but bring to the table because we could create our own table?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that women have specific qualities. They're not they're stronger in women than in men, but we all have all of those qualities. We all have the
Yes.
capacity to nurture, the
Agreed.
capacity to be empathetic and to coach and be loving and so on. But we're socialized to be strongly in one direction more so than the other.
Definitely.
Mind you, I do believe that men's physical strength means that they have certain roles that they can perform.
Definitely.
That we should not and ought not to pretend that we necessarily can fill. But certainly on an intellectual level, they're equal. And perhaps because
Agreed.
we have strengthened ourselves over the generations and millennia, we are emotionally very strong.
Yes, definitely. Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah,
You ever
right.
saw a man get sick?
And I sympathize with them because when they're physically ill, it's their justification to actually allow themselves to be not strong. I don't want to say weak, but to be
Yeah.
not strong.
Yeah.
And that's a sad thing, that you need to have that in order to just be vulnerable.
Agreed totally. What is some of the best advice you would have received over the years?
Well, you know, it's hard to say. It all kind of coalesce into things, and they're from many different people. But I think the most recent would have been something that Sharon Christopher said. Now, Sharon Christopher is a
Yeah.
woman, of course, we all admire.
Yes, definitely.
She was one of the people who was very good to us at Powerful Ladies of Trinidad and Tobago, and she had a lovely fireside chat. I call it a fireside chat. It ended up not being a workshop, but a dispensation of such valuable knowledge and gems from her. And at the end of the day, thank you so much. At the end of the day, she came to that very same conclusion, despite she had made all of those strides in life professionally and so on. At the end of the day, she recognized that if you don't change what's inside, you're not able to transform the external. And I remember so clearly, some years ago, we produced a TV series called Women in Leadership. And in our chatting with her, because she was our host on the program, she said to me, and this is where we have to look for the very subtle ways in which we bow.
Ah, yes.
She said to me that when you enter a boardroom as a woman, you don't even realize it, but you always tend to sit furthest away from the chairperson.
That's interesting.
Because that is something to do with our value, right? We sort of allow the men to take the foremost positions, the close positions to the power on the table. And she recognized that. And in a lot of ways, we are responding from past habits and patterns.
history,
and
yeah.
if we don't examine them, then we're just doomed to replay them without recognizing why are we not moving ahead. We're doing the work, but we're not doing the work where we assert ourselves
Yeah,
with our
definitely.
presence, not just the office work, but where we assert ourselves with our presence. And when we sit in a full agreement with self and everyone else that we are taking up our space as fully
Love
as
that.
we can.
Head
know?
to the front, ladies. Head to the front. I understand what you're saying. We've been to several events together, and sometimes women tend to really sit at the back, they sit at the side, then they have the excuses. They want to be close to the washroom, they want to be close to the exit. Why are you, if you examine it, as you've rightfully said, why are you really sitting at the back or the side? Is it that you don't think that you deserve the place at the front? And I am not in agreement with the theme or that stance where we have to bring a seat to the table. And why are we fighting with tables? Why can't we create our own?
Right, precisely. Sometimes it requires a whole paradigm shift.
Exactly.
Not playing the game that they've set up, but
Yeah.
starting our own game.
Create your own table.
And sometimes that means making a decision daily to support women-owned businesses where you can.
Correct.
Right? So it could be those external things. And sometimes it means being the woman who offers a safe space for some other woman, whether it's a member of your staff, your daughter's friend, your friend's daughter.
Yeah.
To be that safe space where a woman who does not know what is the next step or who you can see is faltering a little, that they can come without judgment.
Without judgment.
Because we can't preach to people to change.
No.
People are the result of their life experiences, and each one is unique. and we look at the world through those lenses. And so you might see somebody doing something and think, but that makes no sense.
But does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
Based on your circumstances. Yeah, I get that. In terms, so over the years, we've heard it until we like blue, green, and purple in the face. About our women, we don't support each other, we are our worst own enemy, we pull each other down, we bicker, we banter, we're deceitful, and all those things. And it's the reality, because I'm sure we've both experienced.
But it's not the only reality.
Go ahead.
Because I have come from a line of women who have come into my life who've been supportive in one way or the other.
Understood, yes, yes.
So despite, for example, my childhood where I didn't have familial support because my parents were too embroiled in their divorce and those things, there were always women from other families who provided nurturing for me.
Yes.
So for me, I was lucky to have had that experience, and I've had other women in my life. I'm not saying that they're perfect, you know. There are times when you fall out. Everybody is imperfect, but, you know, you look at the sum total. What is the good things about them? What is the history between you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because history is a powerful thing.
Definitely.
How did they support you in the past? You can't just forget about that.
Yeah.
So we always have to weigh things in balance. And one of the interesting things is that one of our newer plotter members joined plot, but really had not had a long history of having relationships with women.
Okay.
Sisterhood and so on. And she really was in a lot of ways kind of tomboyish. She's the one who would open the bear with the ring on her finger and, you know.
Right.
And some of the things she shared with me over the last couple of years is that this is a whole new experience for her. That she sees her more feminine side emerging, and she feels that there is value in relationship with women, whereas before she was also under that idea that everything was competitive with women and you couldn't trust them. But also, if you spend enough time and you look at your history, sometimes it's those past relationships
Definitely.
that make you
rooted in your past.
Yes. And only when you're prepared to confront those things
And accept.
can you be free of them, because you're literally in chains if
Agreed.
you're allowing your past to dominate and
Yes.
dictate your future.
Definitely. I totally agree. If you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
Gosh. I find that almost an impossible question. But I'll say what's important is that I recognized that all of the things we learned as children, if they helped us survive as a child, they then become obstacles as adults.
Deep.
So I'm always prepared to be open about my own stories, and I shared that I was a child of divorced parents, and it was a tumultuous divorce.
Right.
You know, stealing children from here one night you're there, somebody steal you from school and take you by somebody else. So it was messy, and there were many ways in which the way I would have handled those very emotional situations as a child would have safeguarded me. But then as an adult, they no longer work, because one way that I was safeguarded as a child was I would take the emotional temperature of the room in the home. Was daddy upset? Was mommy anxious? Right. And that's a great way to survive, because then you know, how should I come in and fix this and keep daddy calm or whatever. And
How old were you?
I was, listen, part of dissociation and so on with those kinds of experiences as children means that we don't remember things with clarity. But I imagine I would have been from 6 to about 9. So as a child, those ways of taking the temperature of the room and so on safeguarded me and made me always want to fix things.
Right.
And maybe
that explains a lot.
Yes, and maybe it worked. It worked then, but as an adult, what it does now is doesn't allow me to be who I am authentically. I'm always looking at, is Wendy upset with me? What did she mean by that? And so I am not
so you're on the
present
defense.
in myself. I'm always looking at that person and seeing, oh, they're not right with me that they normally are. And then I create a story behind it.
Wow.
So you may have come into work, Wendy,
Yes.
and had a rough time parking your car. Somebody, it might have been the only spot, and you were annoyed that the person parked to the side of you, took up part of your parking spot area. And when you come in, you know, you are reacting to those things.
Yeah.
And then the story you tell yourself about that person has nothing to do with the reality of that.
True.
That person might have been feeling sick and rushing to the bathroom.
Correct.
But we tell ourselves stories.
Wow.
And those were some of the things that I had to learn. And some of the stories that women who feel other women are jealous and competitive and so on come from that. And sometimes you hear a small thing happen in an office, and when the person's relating the story, and I sure she so and so, and I don't know, and I know she mother did, and you don't really know.
Yeah, and you're off script bad, you know.
Off script bad. And,
Yep.
and it is a well-known thing, you know, in terms of psychological theory and so on. And actually, it's called stinking thinking,
Yeah.
like on the ground, right? That's a basic name for it, where we ascribe these stories about the agendas and motivations of people have nothing to do with the reality, more than likely.
So we need to do some introspection.
We have to do plenty introspection.
Yeah, and accept responsibility that the foundation of some of our decision making is wrapped up in some mess.
In our history, yeah.
Yeah.
And our history don't involve us alone, it involves our parents. And our
Everybody's
parents'
going to use a
parents.
trickle effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think for me as well, I mean, I could relate 1,000-fold to everything that you're saying. And during this period, this Lenten period as well, one of my best friends and I, we're doing this book called One Day My Soul Just Opened Up, 40 Days and 40 Nights to Personal Development. We've done the book a couple of times, but it's always so refreshing. And we have to account. Every Sunday we have to account.
Wow.
So this week we're doing truth. It'll be interesting next week Sunday. And you have 40 topics. And this is something we could probably have a conversation off air about the two NGOs, because we lead two NGOs.
Yes.
This is so ironic, ladies and gentlemen, that Tracy is the head of Plot Powerful Ladies of Trinidad and Tobago, which I am a member of, by the way. And then I'm also the chair and regional president of CHAWI, Caribbean Women Honors and Empowerment. And we support each other.
Absolutely.
We share information. You guys come to my events, I go to your events. And there's a sisterhood that's real.
We also attended a yoga retreat, a yoga
definitely.
session in
We
South.
did. We did.
And we did that to support a woman
Yeah.
who was starting her yoga classes.
Yes. Only to realize we had some mutual connections.
Yes.
And Tracy's here, MJ's here. And we do that sincerely.
Yes.
We do that with a genuine spirit. Even over the carnival period, we ended up in the same house.
That's right.
I'm like, but wait, Tracy? And Tracy's like, Whitney? So I'm saying all of this to say that genuine sisterhood exists.
It does.
It does, because you could have sisterhood that's not genuine, and the backbiting and all this thing comes along. We both would have faced challenges, but more so for you. How do you balance ambition and your personal life? That work-life balance.
If I tell you I'm not ambitious, will it sound bad?
It's your truth.
I'm not ambitious by the measures of the world today, because I think that those, the objectives of those don't support who you are authentically and don't support your soul. I think you have to choose in this life. I was speaking with a young woman last night who is in her 40s, and she has a very senior position. And she said to me, I can't say this publicly, but I am telling you that I do not think it is possible to have a full family life and raise children and carry on with this job that I have. And I applauded her for the truth. For the truth in it, because I think in many ways we've done ourselves a disservice. Women's liberation started off with the great idea of giving us the opportunities to have equal pay, to have the rights to work, to have jobs, to get loans and all of those things. But then nothing changed in the home, and we were still the primary caregiver.
Thank you.
So we ended up being really slaves, almost.
Still.
And expected to perform twice as well as men, oftentimes, in a job, in order to be really approved of and elevated.
How do we break that barrier?
Well, I think it's breaking now. I think I look at the younger generation, particularly Gen Z. And we look at them and we say, but they don't want to work, but also they're not prepared to
Repeat history.
yes, and to invalidate the values that they want to live by.
Yes.
A lot of those young people are concerned about the origin of products, where they come from, were they fairly mined, fairly extracted. A lot of them are concerned about the planet and how we treat animals in labs. And we
Yeah.
think it's a little woo, but you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Correct.
Because we have distanced ourselves so far from the spirit of the world.
And
which is
realities.
cohabitating with people and everything in the world, because everything has a function.
Yeah.
And if something is removed, it impacts the entire ecosystem.
Absolutely correct.
So we're fooling ourselves thinking we can continue to extract and let capitalism run wild and be ambitious and just keep driving ourselves. But we're going against, and this is why I think there's so many people who are depressed and anxious.
A lot of depression is out there.
Because the external world is actually not marrying well with their inner world.
And do you think they go the extra mile because they're trying to prove a point, and it's not necessarily their ambition?
Yes, because there's such an expectation placed upon them.
Absolutely.
And that is very sad. And people are, and then we want to know why when we hear somebody has committed suicide, but there were no signs, but we didn't see it.
Yeah.
But people are screaming on the inside, but we're told that we need to be so powerful, and we're not encouraged to look for help. Now, people say there's helplines and hotlines and so on, and they tell us we must look for. But how many of us grew up in those generations where we were supposed to be strong?
Yeah, exactly.
And strong is good, but strong with knowing where your limits are and when you need help. That is real strength.
And finding the confidence in yourself as well to share a conversation with somebody, knowing that if I call Tracy and I say, Tracy, XYZ, ABC, it's not on social media by tomorrow, or somebody else is not calling me to tell me Tracy said.
Yes.
So we as women have a social and ethical and moral responsibility, not just to guard our hearts, but to guard the hearts of those that come to us, who see us as mentors.
Yes.
Let's talk a bit about plot.
Yes.
Tell me about plot.
Right. So PLOT stands for Powerful Ladies of Trinidad and Tobago. And we added on within recent years the tagline, Power to Champion,
Yeah.
Power to... I'm sorry, what is it? I'm trying to remember. It's been a while.
Well, I'm a member. This is bad member and chief plotter here. Can't remember the second tagline.
I think it's the flu. I'm still recovering, and I have flu foggy brain. But we added Power to Champion, Power
Right,
to
I remember
Change,
Power
and
to
those
Champion and
things.
Power to Change.
Because what we wanted to communicate is that we don't feel that we are more powerful than anybody else.
Because you know that's what your original belief.
Yes.
Yes.
And this is why we felt we needed to communicate that, because it's about women from all walks of life
Definitely.
who are able to bring the power that we women have
Yes.
to champion other women, to make changes where we see changes need to be made. And those changes could be anything from the powerful changes that can happen in a boardroom to the changes that can happen in a community center,
Agreed.
right? And the changes that can happen if you are a counselor and you're able to counsel somebody. Because I think with the breakdown of family life, that counseling, that interaction, that reaching out to connect with people is what is so needed, and why perhaps some of the social issues that we are grappling with as a
Yes.
country are so difficult to deal with.
Agreed. And I will add to that, every single woman has a power in this inside of them.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you go through life, you're depressed, you're disempowered, and all the rest of it. And the words that you hear, which is why you have to guard your airwaves, because somebody could say to you so many negative things. But if you know that you know that you know,
Yes.
that there's a power on the inside of you, nothing they say to me can move me.
But you should also consider if there's right in their opinion, because so oftentimes we are blind
Correctly.
to some of our own flaws.
Because of the individual who may be saying it.
Yes.
They may be a powerful, influential person, and you're brainwashed to think that because of their title, they are correct. But you are who God says you are who you believe you
Absolutely.
are, and you have to find positive ways to empower yourself. Sometimes you have to empower yourself.
Absolutely. But the work that you are doing on this book That is
Yeah.
part of your self-empowerment.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you have done this book, you just told me,
A few
more than
times.
once.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure each venture you find a new nugget that you hadn't recognized.
Correctly. You're absolutely correct.
Because you're not the same person who read that book the first
No,
time.
the first time I read that book, I was living in London decades ago, and obviously less mature, less traveled, less so many different things. And now, 2 decades later, one of the things we agreed we're going to do is compare the notes from the first time we did the book to now, because we both still have our books. Because she was the one that introduced me to the book in the first place by Ian Van Zandt. And I always applaud personal development. And this is something that Plot does as well.
Absolutely.
And there is so much power in women. Even the woman that comes broken. You may be broken today, but there's a power that you probably didn't find. And we have to help each other find those different powers that are inside of us.
But sometimes it is in the breaking that we release the power.
Correct. There's making in the breaking, there's purpose in the pit, and so many different things. Have you experienced gender bias?
I can't say that that's happened to me.
This
I've
is
been
interesting.
fortunate. I've been fortunate. But perhaps it has to do with the areas within which I have worked.
Okay.
You know, I've been a teacher, I've been a flight attendant, I've worked in sales and so on. So there's been no particular gender bias with me. And I've been fortunate. But also I think that a lot of times that I go in with an openness when I'm dealing with situations.
Gotcha.
And I think that is important because so many times that stinking thinking will tell us that the way somebody said something has to do with X, Y, and Z when they probably just had a headache, you know? And so that's one of the things. I try to be open and walk where I walk with compassion
Yes.
and try to not assume things until it becomes very clear and that person is
Exactly.
saying something directly to me that
Correct.
it is that.
Correct.
And I've been fortunate that, you know, it's been a fairly flawless existence with regard to that.
How do you guard your space?
Well, you know, your space, you don't have control over it necessarily. Depending on where you are, your personal space might be impinged by people who are in lines, people who are trying to get things
Right.
done
Meal
and so
tip
on.
is being
And
brought
they're
to you
anxious,
by Royal
maybe.
Castle,
They're trying to get
our
something
culture,
done. They
Yeah.
have
our
little
taste.
time.
For
But I
years,
think the most
Royal Castle
important
has been the
space
favorite
to
of
guard
many, with its
is
unique,
that mental
consistent
and
quality
emotional
and taste.
space.
The Castle
And the way
prepares the
that I do
freshest
it is
chicken
that
and selected
through prayer,
products
of
to
course.
always give you
Yeah.
that delicious
And
homegrown flavor.
prayer, we often say a lot of things. But then after prayer, you have to listen. Else,
Thank
when
you.
when you
so
get the
much.
message,
Oh my God, I could do
you
a
keep
whole
asking God
program
for
on prayer.
things.
Well, hush and wait. But listen to me. I often think the big G heard your cry, heard your plea, and he just waited for you to hush, you know.
Yes,
Because two of us can't speak at the same time.
exactly.
But that's a next pattern of behavior where we keep going on and on and on and on and don't
Yes.
pause.
And if we also have had poor relationships with our parents and they haven't met our needs emotionally as children, in a way we kind of ascribe that same thing to God, that He's not going to really come up and meet our needs the way He should, or at least He does for other people.
There's a
right?
faith thing too as well.
It's a faith thing.
It's a faith thing.
But if you spend the time to be quiet, gradually you will find that you will hear things and make you realize that God didn't forget you.
But you know, and the line is saying, you know, that may be a challenge for women. Is trying to stay quiet bit.
Well, you know, it's the same thing. It's like when people say that they can't meditate because things are always coming into their mind. It's a
still.
practice.
It is.
It is a
correct.
practice. You go to the gym to build a muscle. It's the same thing. You build a muscle with the mind.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting there quietly, and the thought of what's in your, to put in the lunchbox for the children and who cooking dinner tonight and all that comes into your mind, you just observe it and you dismiss it and you try to go again. I listen to some soothing music and I focus on the sound of the music. And that allows the thoughts to disappear. And the
Right.
more you practice, the more the space between the thoughts widens.
Correct.
And everything in life has a pause. There's a pause in breath. There's a pause in music. Music wouldn't be the same way if there weren't pauses.
Can you imagine?
Precisely. There's pauses in when people speak that add significance to what they say.
Yes.
And so we have to look for pauses internally. And that's how we protect
I
our
love
space.
that. Look for pauses internally.
And when we do those things, we build a kind of internal resilience. And one of the things that I think is very powerful, I have stacks and stacks of journals.
Yes.
I started writing, and people think you have to write in a journal every day, like Dear Diary. It's not that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I sit in meditation and some clarity comes to me about a situation in my life.
And you're right.
Or clarity that comes from a situation that happened in the past that I'm still holding on a little unforgiveness for, and so on. And I write about it. And what's magical about writing
Releases.
is that new things come out as well. That if I'm just sitting down in my bed and thinking about the situation, the thinking goes round in a circle and takes you almost nowhere new.
Absolutely.
But there's something magical about writing, that something will come out and you're like, I didn't even know that. And the same thing happens when you're talking with somebody that you trust
Yes.
and you can feel safe with. Things will come out that you hadn't considered before. And that's why it's important for women to hold space for other women, because we can help them move from step to step.
What policies or initiatives do you believe are essential for advancing gender equality?
I think a big part of it has to start in school. I mean,
Oh, definitely.
the generations have
Homes and
changed.
schools, yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, people see what's happening in the rest of the world and they have all of those things to compare to. And we see some more women in senior places, in different fields and professions. But I think that until we break that gap where in the home, we start to make sure that the daughters could cook, but we're not doing the same for the sons. We have different rules for the girls and what she's able to do, and he has greater freedom to do what he wants to do. So I think we need to start in the schools, and we need to, everyone in whatever capacity that they are operating in their professional life, can bring what they have to offer to schools. Adopt a school.
Yeah.
Especially secondary schools, they have guidance programs. Teachers are at the limit. There's so much to teach. They have so much work they have to do. Offer to come in and speak to kids. It'll help you grow. Me, I grew so much as a mother because the things that I had to make decisions on for my son, I had to then examine my values in life.
I think one of the challenges, though, is when all those things happen in the school space and then you go home.
Well, I'll tell you something. When I was a teacher, and particularly I taught at a junior school, those children go home and say, Mommy, Miss say.
Yes.
And Miss has almost a godlike kind of gravity. You know, Miss say we must recycle. And I think that's what we need to develop, what we need to build on. And if we do that, we have a chance, because sometimes people can follow through on the path of family life in the exact way that their family and their family before lived. And sometimes they have the chance to see how another family lives. And what it does is it gives them an option to see that life can be different.
Can be different, absolutely.
So we have to intervene in the cycle. Because what science is showing now is that what we call generational curse in religious life is akin to like epigenetics. When a thing happens many, many generations before in a family, some trauma, something, it switches on genes.
Right.
That then passes along. And so you wonder why, and they've proven this with mice, for example. Every time the mouse would go to drink at this lovely tasty fluid, it would get a shock. And then the babies of those mice would never drink that, even when there was no longer something to give them an electrical shock. So what we're recognizing is all those emotional things, the trauma things that happen in life, they don't disappear. They didn't happen then and no longer affect the family.
Right.
They continue to affect the family. And that's where we have to intervene and give people the chance to see that there are other ways of being, and give them stories, not foreign stories, stories
relevant,
of our own people, and how they moved forward, how they sought help, and where they can find help so that they can make the changes. There are lots of things available, GATE, and There's a help program to get low interest loans so you can get tertiary education. Sometimes people don't know about these things.
Yeah, communication is lacking as well.
Yes, we need people to go out there and tell people these things are available to you. And if those are there, what can you bring to the table to work towards them? To make a change in your life. And this is one of the things that Plot wants to do. Last year we did a number of workshops, and while some of them had to do with things like procurement and so on, we focused a lot also on the soft skills, the leadership skills, and we also focused on self-care.
Yes.
And this is the other thing that women need, because we are being asked to perform so well in the professional arena, and we're still the primary caregivers at home. We often don't take care of ourselves, and we weren't nurtured as girls to look after ourselves. It was always to look after everybody else. Correct. Right? Make sure your brother have food when he come in,
take care
wash
of
the wares, look after your little sister. And we have to recognize that self-care is not just about doing your nails.
Oh, definitely. Oh,
right?
Definitely.
It's about setting boundaries for yourself and being able to say no. Because also, you know, we want to be good Christian girls. And if we say no, when we could really do it, but we're tired, then we'll say, okay, well, I'm tired, but that's just a personal sacrifice on your part. You could do it. But the truth is you're tired, and if your cup empty, girl, where are you giving anybody?
Exactly. Well, Tracy, I know we've been here for a bit of a time, and we're heading to the noon break. What are your closing comments as it relates to the theme for International Women's Month, Accelerate Action, as we wrap up?
So what we need, I think, to accelerate action is to see how we can make personal changes to do that. It doesn't have to be huge policy directional changes, those kinds of things. We can accelerate action, like we said, by choosing to support women-owned businesses. We can accelerate action by mentorship. We can accelerate action by being a safe space for women. And we can certainly accelerate action by doing the things you are doing. Taking a book, going through it, understanding where you are, what you're learning from the book, and so on. Because when you become better on the inside, it can't help but radiate on the outside.
I agree 1,000-fold. Tracy, you know, we could talk for hours, right?
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for being here on Street 91.9 FM for International Women's Month segment, A Woman's Worth. Thank you. So many comments. Oh my God, so many positive comments. So thank you once again. I appreciate you, but you're not allowed to leave the station. So we'll be right back.
Attention business owners, are you looking to reach a vast audience and boost your brand's visibility? Then look no further. The Street 919 FM is here to help you shine. With over 170,000 followers on our social media platforms, our radio station is the perfect platform to showcase your products and services. Join us and let your message be heard by thousands of eager listeners. Contact us now to learn more about our affordable advertising packages. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to connect with your target audience. Advertise with the Street 919 FM today. For more information, call 399-5959, 384-2232, or 378-1470.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the Street 919 FM.
Port of Spain, Point Fortin. It's your turn to laugh like never before. Alternative International Comedy Festival featuring comedy star Damien Melville in concert with added drama, including Damien Melville as Dr. Rowley.
Listen to that. There is never a day you could wake up and you hear, what a lovely day. What beautiful sunshine. Let me go on the beach. Let me go and check my neighbor I haven't seen for a while. All you just get from them is yang, 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 yang. That is all.
Coming to Witty Fred Atwell Auditorium, Queens Hall, Saturday, March 22nd, and Mahaika Oval Sporting Complex, Point Fortin, Saturday, March 29th. Both shows, 7 p.m. Get tickets today and save a fantastic $50 while stock lasts at islandetickets.com. Cache, Sport of Spain, Gulf City Mall, Trin City Mall, Michelle's Arima, Passad the Food King, and Food Fantasy, Point Fortin, Valini's, San Fernando, Crosby, St. James, Extra Food Supermarkets, nationwide. For more info, call Alternative Festival Hotline at 774-5555.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Another day above ground, I see. I focusing on the positives, because yesterday I was down. People do me wrong, but it's love in me heart. When they try to take me for clown, I do them no wrong. Jaja have me back, and I shouting, oh Lord, I'm thankful, oh Lord, I'm thankful. It's you who give me health and strength. Oh Lord, I'm thankful. It's you give me the handful. Every day you're blessing me. Only it and back and on. It's nothing we nature. Money in we pocket. This life I want love it. Only it and back and on. It's nothing we nature. Food on we table. I good and I'm able. Take a jump up and wave. I thankful for life. To see another sunrise. Me to one up in the air. All the stress on your mind. Put them problems aside. And give thanks, yeah, for another day. Don't forget to pray. And give thanks, yeah, for another day. Don't forget to pray. Another day above ground, I say, thank you, Father. I'm focusing on the positives, cause yesterday I was down. Today I feel strong. Yes, His love in me heart. Dirty up my name around tongue.
The Street 919 FM, your go-to for insightful political discourse. Stay informed, stay engaged, and join the conversation. Connect with us online for the latest updates and thought-provoking discussions. Street 919 FM, the official station that defends the nation.
News from the street, 919fm.com. Here's what's happening.
Good afternoon, this is the Midday News, broadcasting on the Street 919 FM. In your headlines, Stuart Young sworn in as Prime Minister, new cabinet, announced. President defends appointment of Stuart Young as Prime Minister. Armed robbery at neurosurgeon's home in Fairways. Internationally, Israel-Gaza strikes. Now for the news in detail. Stuart Young officially became Trinidad and Tobago's 8th Prime Minister yesterday, with Camille Robinson-Regis sworn in as Attorney General. The appointments were confirmed in a morning ceremony at President's House. The full cabinet was revealed later in the afternoon. Key changes in the cabinet include Vishnu Dhanpal appointed as Minister of Finance, replacing Comimbert. Marvin Gonzalez named Minister of National Security, replacing Fitzgerald Hines. Fitzgerald Hines reassigned as Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister. Com Imbert appointed Minister of Public Utilities. In another news story, President Christine Kangaloo defended her appointment of Stuart Young as Prime Minister, stating that the decision was made in full accordance with the Constitution. She emphasized that the transition was conducted transparently and followed constitutional guidelines. Young was sworn in as Prime Minister at 10 a.m. yesterday, with Camille Robinson-Regis appointed as Attorney General. The rest of Young's cabinet took the oath during a second ceremony at 3 p.m. at President's House, St. Anne's, while protests occurred outside. Kangaloo cited Section 75 of the Constitution, which requires the country to have a Prime Minister, and Section 142(1), which permits a Prime Minister to resign via a written statement. Former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley resigned on March 12th, effective midnight on March 16th, 2025. Young's appointment was based on the support of 21 members of the ruling People's National Movement, who confirmed in letters that he, not Rowley, was their leader in Parliament. Under Section 76(1)(a), Kangaloo exercised her constitutional authority to appoint Young. She reassured the public that her decision was strictly constitutional and aimed at ensuring continuity in governance. In more news, police are searching for suspects after 5 armed bandits stormed the fairways. Marival home of an 84-year-old retired neurosurgeon on Sunday night. The victim and his caretaker were tied up and assaulted before the criminals stole $21,000 in cash, an iPhone 11, a licensed firearm with ammunition, alcohol, a DVR system, and 3 luxury vehicles, a Porsche Cayenne, a Mercedes-Benz, and a Toyota Land Cruiser. After freeing themselves, the victims alerted neighbors and police, who launched an immediate search. The stolen Porsche and Mercedes were later recovered, but the Land Cruiser remains missing. Authorities expect to make arrests soon, as investigations continue. In international news, Israel launched airstrikes across Gaza early Tuesday, killing at least 400 Palestinians, mostly women and children, and breaking a ceasefire that had been in place since January. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the strikes after Hamas refused Israeli demands to alter the ceasefire agreement. The operation is open-ended, with possible expansion, and has received U.S. support. Israel has ordered evacuations in eastern Gaza, suggesting a potential ground offensive. The attack, occurring during Ramadan, raises concerns over the fate of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. Hamas official Izzat al-Rishek condemned Netanyahu's actions, calling them a death sentence for the hostages. Hamas reported that 4 senior officials were killed. Meanwhile, Netanyahu faces internal political pressure, including mass protests and criticism over his handling of the hostage crisis. The strikes prompted a far-right party to rejoin his government. Gaza's health ministry reported 404 deaths and over 560 injuries, with hospitals overwhelmed. A single strike in Rafah killed 17 members of one family, including 5 children. The ongoing war, which began after Hamas-led militants attacked Israel on October 7, 2023, has resulted in over 48,000 Palestinian deaths and displaced 90% of Gaza's population. The initial ceasefire led to hostage exchanges, but negotiations for a second phase stalled, prompting Israel to cut off aid to pressure Hamas. The White House blamed Hamas for the renewed conflict, arguing that the group could have extended the ceasefire by releasing more hostages. Israel claims Hamas is rebuilding and has vowed to expand military operations. With growing protests in Israel over the hostage crisis, Netanyahu faces a choice between continuing military action or navigating difficult political negotiations as the war fuels further regional devastation. Let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. The Trinidad and Tobago Football Association has restricted national under-17 coach Sean Cooper from coaching players aged 18 and under. The decision, based on the TTFA safeguarding policy and framework, was communicated in a memo to stakeholders. TTFA officials, including safeguarding manager Gary St. Rose and first vice president Colin Murray, declined to comment due to an ongoing investigation. The policy states that individuals under investigation for abuse, policy breaches, or criminal offenses may face restrictions, including supervision requirements or provisional suspension. If found in breach, a person can be suspended from all football-related activities. Cooper, known for his success in the secondary schools football league and previous roles with national teams, had recently led the under-17 team in CONCACAF qualifiers and praised the squad's potential. In your weather forecast, this afternoon and tonight, mostly fair and hazy conditions will prevail, with occasional interruptions by isolated light showers in specific areas. There is a low chance of a moderate to heavy shower developing near western Trinidad during the early afternoon. During the nighttime, the weather will remain mostly fair and hazy, with a few isolated showers possible. Saharan dust is present in the atmosphere, so individuals sensitive to air quality changes should take necessary precautions. The maximum temperature is expected to reach 33 degrees. Seas will be moderate, with waves ranging from 1.5 to 2.0 meters in open waters, reaching up to 2.5 meters in the Leeward Islands, while sheltered areas will experience waves below 1.0 meter. Recapping the headlines, Stuart Young sworn in as Prime Minister, new cabinet announced. President defends appointment of Stuart Young as Prime Minister. Armed robbery at neurosurgeon's home in Fairways. Internationally, Israel-Gaza strikes. That was your News on the Street 919 FM. Do have a safe and productive day.
News from the street. news from the street. 919fm.com.
Keep it locked to the Street 919 FM, your number one station for political insight and analysis.
The HDC is making it easier to secure your lease. Now is the time to take control and legally occupy an HDC unit with its regularization process. Don't wait. Start your application today. Visit the HDC website at www.hdc.gov.tt or WhatsApp 325-257-8 or 3286-013 for frequently asked questions. Be at peace. Get your HDC lease. The biggest Eid sale is on at Furniture Plus. Come enjoy massive savings store-wide. Shop living room furniture from as low as $540. Queen mattresses from as low as $699. Bedroom furniture from as low as $989. Smart TVs from as low as $1,407. Appliances from as low as $1,759 and much more. Plus, earn Caribbean Airlines. Travel miles when you shop with us. No cash? Buy now. Play later with affordable hire purchase plans. All Furniture Plus stores open today. Check press and social media for details. Don't miss the biggest Eid sale at Furniture Plus. Port of Spain, Point Fortin. It's your turn to roll over laughing. Randy Glasgow Productions, Alternative International Comedy Festival, featuring Damien Melville in concert, is coming to Queen's Hall, Saturday, March 22nd, and Ma Haika Oval Sporting Complex, Point Fortin, Saturday, March 29th. Get tickets today and save $50 before all are gone at advertised outlets nationwide. For more info, call the 24-hour Comedy Festival, hotline 774-555-555. The Street 919 FM is your platform for informed debate and critical thinking as we dive into the heart of political and social issues, empowering you to make informed decisions. Join our Facebook community, The Street 919 FM, and connect with like-minded individuals. Share your thoughts, engage in constructive dialogue, and stay updated. Follow, like, and share, and be part of the movement.
You are listening to the Street 919 FM. Stay with us for news, interviews, and commentary that shape our democracy. Street 919 FM, the official station that defends the nation.
Let's praise Him, let's praise Him. Let's give God the praise. Let's praise Him, let's praise Him. Let's give God the praise. Let's praise Him, let's praise Him. Let's give God the praise. Let's give God the praise. Father God, we love you. And we know you love us too. God, we beg you for forgiveness for the wrong things that we do. God, we need your intervention. Too much evil in this land. In this land.